You may think the scariest monsters are the ones that go bump in the night. The truth is, sometimes the most terrifying things are the ones that don't make a sound at all. This is a story about one such thing. It's about a time when the forest fell silent, when even the nocturnal predators hung their heads and went back into their holes. It's a tale told around campfires, a warning to those who travel through the woods after dark. So gather close and listen carefully, for this is the night the owls stopped screaming. The jungle was never silent. Every night the air trembled with the haunting screeches of owls, guardians of darkness, their cries echoing between ancient trees. But that night was different. A stillness gripped the forest like an invisible hand, squeezing the breath from every living thing. No owl called, no wing beat the air, only a heavy, eerie quiet that made the shadows seem deeper, the stars colder, and the wind sharper. Something had changed. Something watched. Deep in the undergrowth, creatures froze. A rustle of leaves was enough to send deer bolting, their eyes wide with terror. Even the smallest insects seemed to sense the unnatural hush, choosing to burrow deeper rather than face whatever lurked beyond sight. The jungle's heart pounded, unseen, but felt as if the very soil trembled with ancient fear. What force had silenced the night's most fearsome hunters? What had made the owls, kings of the dark, retreat? High among the gnarled branches where the owls once perched, with sharp talons and sharper eyes, empty nests swayed gently in the breeze. A predator greater than any before it had entered the realm, one that commanded silence, that turned the fearless into cowards. Its presence was a shadow within shadows, a whisper of death that needed no voice. The owls knew, the jungle knew, and now, so did we. As dawn threatened the edges of night with pale light, the silence lingered. No triumphant cries welcomed the morning. No chorus of creatures greeted the rising sun. The forest seemed to mourn, to brace for what might come again. And somewhere, deep within the tangled heart of the wilderness, the unseen danger waited, watching, learning, planning its next move. That night taught a lesson more powerful than any sound could deliver. Sometimes, true terror is not in the roar of a beast or the shriek of a predator, but in the stillness that warns of something far worse. The jungle, old and wise, understood, and from that moment, no creature ever listened to the night in the same way again. The owls did return, eventually, but their cries seemed different. Sharper, cautious, forever marked by the night they were forced into silence. And so the legend grew, passed from whispering wind to rustling leaf. Beware the night when the owls stop screaming, for when the voices of the dark fall quiet, something greater, something unseen, claims the jungle as its own. Every rustle, every shadow, every breeze carried the memory of that night, and those who dared enter the forest after dark would pause, ears straining, heart racing, listening not for the owl's cry, but for the silence that meant it was already too late. Now, here's the thing. While this story is fictional, it plays on a real human fear, the fear of the unknown. We instinctively understand that if the things around us fall silent, it's cause for concern. Take for example a cricket. If you hear its chirp, everything seems right in the world. But if the chirping suddenly stops, it disquiets us. Why? Because crickets chirp pretty much non-stop when they're not busy eating or mating. So a sudden silence means something's off. It could be a change in temperature, a shift in humidity, or even the approach of a predator. Crickets are prey animals, and they know it, so they chirp as a kind of safety check. If the chirping stops, either they're in danger or there's some other big change happening in their environment. Either way, it's a sign for them to pay attention and respond accordingly. Owls are also constantly calling. It's part of their nature. They hoot to defend their territory, to attract a mate, and even to confuse potential predators. An owl's call is its way of interacting with the world. So if an owl suddenly stops hooting, it's like someone turning down the volume on life itself. It's unsettling because it suggests something's wrong. Very wrong. It's as if the natural order has been disturbed, and we don't know why. But this unease isn't just a figment of our imagination. It's backed by evolution. In a world where danger often goes hand in hand with silence, it's hardwired into us to pay attention to the absence of sound. Our survival could depend on it. Take, for example, the Arctic. Here, silence is a constant companion. The vast, frozen landscape stretches as far as the eye can see, broken only by the occasional ice ridge, and the cold is so intense that it muffles even the smallest sound. A step on the ice can echo for a long time, and a shout can carry for miles. So when someone ventures out onto the ice, they learn to read the silence, to pay attention to the absence of sound. A creak in the ice can signal a hidden lead or a shift in the ice sheet. The absence of bird song or the distant call of a seal can indicate the approach of a polar bear, and the sound of the wind can hint at an impending blizzard. In this harsh environment, silence becomes a language in itself, a language that can mean the difference between life and death. So when it comes to the story of the night the owl stopped screaming, we can understand why it would stick with us. It taps into our primal fears, our understanding that silence can be dangerous, that it can signal the approach of something big, something that could change our lives in an instant. But stories like these also reflect our relationship with the natural world. When we venture into the wild, we're entering a world that's governed by different rules, a world where we're not always in control. The story of the night, The Owls Stop Screaming, reminds us of this, showing us that there are forces of nature that we can't explain, that we can't tame, and that we should respect. And maybe that's the most important lesson we can take away from this story. In a world that's often noisy and chaotic, it's good to remember that sometimes silence can be golden. It's a chance to listen to the world around us, to pay attention to the small things that make life beautiful. It's a reminder that we're not always in control, that there are forces of nature that are bigger than us, and that we should respect that. So the next time you find yourself in a silent place, take a deep breath and listen to the silence. You never know what you might hear. In the end, the silence wasn't just a warning, it was a wake-up call. It forced everyone in the jungle to reevaluate their place in the ecosystem. The owls, who had ruled the night, had to learn that there was something bigger, something more powerful out there. The deer and the insects and all the other creatures had to learn to be more aware, more alert. And we, the listeners of this tale, are also given a wake-up call. We're reminded that we're not at the center of the universe. There are things happening around us that we don't understand, that we can't control. And sometimes the best thing we can do is simply acknowledge that. This story is more than just a scary tale. It's a story about humility, about recognizing that we don't know everything, that there's always more to learn. It's a story that challenges us to expand our understanding of the world around us, to embrace the unknown instead of fearing it. For in the end, it's our fear of the unknown, our inability to comprehend the vastness and complexity of the natural world that keeps us from truly appreciating it. The Night the Owls Stop Screaming is a call to action. It's a call for us to open our minds and hearts to the possibility that there's always more to see, more to hear, more to understand. It's an invitation to join the orchestra of the natural world and to play our part in keeping the music alive. So the next time you hear a strange noise in the night, instead of cowering in fear, take a deep breath and listen closely. You might just be hearing the song of the world, and it would be a shame to miss it.